So I thought this was kind of a very interesting concept of how they do stuff. And I must admit, I'm here for it. I think if they add this every year, this is definitely a trial. And they know full well that the game is slightly slowing down. And I can imagine shapeshifters and footies might change a little bit of that. Hopefully they've got something up their sleeve that we don't know about. But the UCL, the Europa League, and also then the conference, all having a team based on whoever won, I'm here for it. I think it's a nice touch. We saw something very similar years and years ago, that there was not necessarily a team, but it was like a lot of special cards for when Leicester won the league. It's definitely had different types of it, and I'm absolutely here for it. I do think this is a great concept that we saw. We obviously saw Spurs won the first one, and now we kind of see them out of packs. They're not necessarily in for a great deal of time, but it could be an interesting concept for EA, because it means that not only... Well, actually, I don't know what it does to the market, because we're in such a low period anyway. I don't know if mid-November, mid-December, they could do something similar, because they're only in packs for 3 to 4 days, so or even 2 to 3 days, in fact. So it gives them such a small pool of being in there. Whether then they re-release them back in some sort of extra promo later on down the line, just to not spike their prices up, it would be an interesting concept before, if you could think of any other reason too. But having them here, I quite like it. I think the Spurs ones have been fantastic. They're definitely that next level up as well. It's an actual good upgrade for them. When you look at the likes of Jackson, you've obviously got a nice Palmer. Now, you've naturally got the team of the season Palmer, but this one's better. This one's got the upgrades that he needs. It's a right mid / cam, more of a cam if anything. The incisive, the finesse, the low driven, way better than his team of the season. They absolutely stuffed his team of the season up, and finally they got a better upgrade. Now obviously we saw a masterclass, an absolute bloodbath when it comes to a UCL final. PSG looked like nobody could stop them. It was unbelievable. Doué is outrageous. Kvaratskhelia, incredible. The whole team, they worked as a team. It worked well. It was phenomenal. Now obviously all of these players are very hard to get. Everybody's going to be trying to grind them out, and they only just came out at 6 p.m. But the question is, who is worth it? Now obviously we look at the main star in himself. He's the highest rated in this and the man of the match from the UCL. Doué at 19 is absolutely insane. Now obviously, so if you're looking for coins, check in the description for El Dorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics, and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with El Dorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. Give him his time. Like, I mean, he's 19 years old. Hopefully if he does continue something like this, he is going to be an absolute star. But still a lot of time going, a lot of confidence in that final to go with. But the team itself, it just gelled. It did very well. Now, in terms of a card, we've got the rapid, the incisive, and the low driven. Now, with Doué, we've kind of seen him across the board be more of your winger-esque type. I'm here for it, to be honest. I really do think he's got a very nice level of stats. Like, we look at the 97 in himself, stats-wise, incredible, 5-5, great playstyle pluses. Obviously, we're going to see potentially upgrades to a few of them in the season pass with an extra playstyle plus being added. We saw max 96, I want to say, which is going to escape Doué a little bit, but there might be a 97 towards the end. We will have to see. Obviously, when we do look at him, he's going to be one of the more favoured ones. Donnarumma is most definitely going up there. It is a shame that they didn't get the rush out for him. I was kind of really hoping for something like that for him, but unfortunately they have dropped him out in what I wanted for a playstyle plus. But as a 96, Donnarumma has always been a brilliant keeper in there. We then do see a Nuno Mendes coming in at a 996. Again, another solid card that you could throw in there. I think for me, when you look at the kind of Hakimi and Nuno Mendes wing backs, this could be an interesting kind of concept for them because they are both incredible at getting up and down the pitch in the game and on real life. Now, obviously, we do look at the roles for him. He is going to have the fullback plus anyway, and I believe Hakimi was the same. This is Hakimi's first card as well. It's an interesting one. He has got the plus. Most of them will have pretty much most roles, which is always nice. So you're kind of looking at a very in-demand team now. It's really going to go down to their playstyle pluses more so than anything. When we do look at the likes of a Kvaratskhelia now, he's obviously coming in with the finesse, the rapid, and the incisive. I think you could easily go with a Hakimi and also a Nuno Mendes coming in at more of the top end here. You will see a few, like, we look at kind of Lucas Hernandez. As much as I need the anticipate here, we are looking at someone like a Marquinhos with obviously the intercept, the block, and the anticipate. It just adds that level to it, in my opinion. And Kvaratskhelia is obviously going to be up there as well. We're obviously going to go with a bit of Dembele. He did get an exceptional team of the season anyway, so technically he's one less, but we do know that his team of the season, or this version, is both incredible. Now, obviously, the difference is we got the quadruple playstyle plus, and instead of a pinged pass, we got the incisive and we missed the low driven. But regardless of the version, he's still incredible in that area. Now, obviously, when we do look at kind of like your Pacho, he again did get a solid card in the team of the season, especially with the quadruple playstyle plus. They're not taking that into consideration, but it's definitely an interesting one you could go for. We then see these two, Ramos and everybody that's going to go into the middle. Fabian Ruiz, I think most of them, I don't think there's going to be many that would go into more of a usable. I think all of them are in that very usable category. Even on the lower end, it is just looking at the likes of a Palmer who goes into that absolute number one. And I think there's going to be quite a few because that's the whole point of it. A João Neves is going to throw himself in there. I think a Vitinha will also throw himself in there. And do you know what? Probably Zaire Emery as well. I think they absolutely smashed this sort of level of a squad. And to be honest, if you could get the road to the final, this would be, if this was your team, if you're a PSG fan, a Spurs fan, or a Chelsea fan, this is like a dream year for you. You can finish off the game and try and get as many of these as possible. Obviously, PSG is going to be a bit more difficult because prices are not cheap at the moment. But when we do look at the others, they're not necessarily like crazy. And we managed to get a few of them already, which is nice. But in terms of the big ones, that's going to be the hardest point, to be honest. We do, obviously, I've got like Barcola and we also have Pacho. I think Pacho, again, puts himself into the top category. If you've used him as a team of the season centre-back, you know full well he's going to be incredible. Barcola as a left wing, he's got the 5'5". I mean, for the moment, he will sit into that top, but he will drop down quite quickly. We then go into the Chelsea boys. Now, in terms of pricing, what we can kind of see from them is obviously these are still very in-demand cards. You can see even like Nicholas Jackson coming in as not necessarily it's not like it's a Dembele sort of name. Still incredible prices, but you can see where the playstyle pluses do make a massive difference. As a striker, to be honest, that could be where the kind of more usable could go into there, to be honest. So if we was kind of going through them, Jorgensen, do you know what? I'd probably give him a shout. I don't know if I'd go top meta. He's 6'3". I'd go at least into the very usable for him. Badia Chile, I'd go into more very usable. Enzo Fernandez, I thought he was a decent card. I would still possibly just under, especially now we look at the João Neveses and the Vitinhas, they would go in. Chalobah would be the same as well. I think Caicedo, to be honest, really holds himself well. Now, he's going to be a brilliant kind of counterpart for someone like Conte because they're both exceptional DMs, very good stats, very good playstyle pluses. Obviously, all of these players were the 5'5s as well, which is even better. Even when we look at like someone like a Cucurella, now in terms of his stats, looks impeccable. A Pedro Neto is finally coming in as a very top-end sort of card. Sancho in himself, to be fair to him, is looking nice. I think Sancho with the technical, if he had the finesse and incisive pinged, would have been better. I think Mark actually would probably be the only one that I'd consider going further down. Now, stats are going to be good, but it's just not enough in my opinion. Reece James finally getting himself an upgrade. We're obviously seeing him with an 86 way back when, but finally an upgrade. And he's on the pitch with a rapid, an incisive, and a bruiser. Solid right back. He's putting himself up there. If we look at what we've got in right backs, is absolutely head and shoulders up there with the best of them. Left backs is a little bit more harder, especially with Teo Hernandez, but Teo didn't get an over team of the season, so he's already on kind of that losing battle until we get into that team of the season. Which leaves us then with Augusto, who, to be honest, started the Prem right backs. He's another solid card. I think I do personally prefer James, in my opinion, but that goes down to personal preference more than anything. Madueke, I would go a little bit further down. Colwill, I did quite like, to be honest. I thought he was another one that was always interesting to see. I think for me, when it comes to centre-backs, it would have to be the likes of a Marquinhos that would take the reins, but the incisive's the only thing that's dropping him out of there for me, and then I think Jackson would kind of throw himself in there. Romero is the easiest centre-back to throw into this top meta because he is unbelievable. He had a fantastic game in general. He played it absolutely perfectly, had Rasmus, if it was hard in itself, in his back pocket. But we have got the kind of team as well. We've got the very first team in, and to be honest, if you're a Spurs fan, they're relatively cheap, bar from a couple of the top end. Obviously, Van der Ven is going to be up there. Son is going to be another one, which is quite easy to kind of go with. If we do go for them, Son would be in that top meta with Van der Ven. And I think if we was kind of looking across the board, your fullbacks are most definitely in there. I think Undogi and also Pedro Porro are brilliant fullbacks in themselves. And I'd be looking maybe potentially at a striker, but I'd possibly be looking more towards a Vicario as kind of in your very usable. Johnson's not a bad right wing because he can do the both. He's got the finesse, the rapid, and the low driven, and can still play the striking role again. So you could argue between. I think Gray is another one, but the fact that we now have a Caicedo and we now have a Conte, I would personally drop him down. Danzo would be another one in the very usable. Vicario, to be honest, he was one of the ones I've used quite a lot. I'm going to go Donnarumma on top over the two. You can only use one of them, so that is what it is. Bentancur was another one that could have been in that option. I will go Pedro Porro and Undogi in the top meta. And then I'd possibly say, other than maybe Johnson, I would probably go the rest into that very usable. I think they had an exceptional amount of talent that you could go. Sarr being another one that could have been in the shouts of obviously going into more of the top meta. And that is going to be all of them. Like I said, I was very, very happy with these amounts of cards. It would be nice to see if they did something with a league. Maybe they pick like 2 or 3 players from every major league and go with like an exceptional upgrade on the winners. Liverpool, obviously Barcelona, Napoli, I don't know who, Bayern Munich, and maybe go with a couple. It would be interesting, but definitely the Cups. I think they did very, very well with this. Let me know down below what you think though. Make sure you do like and subscribe on this, and I'll see you all tomorrow for ranking the SBCs. Peace.